welcome to this episode of Screendivers. In this episode, myself, Steve, and Ricky are taking you back. We're dragging you down to 1986. Today, we are covering Pretty in Pink, written by John Hughes and directed by Howard Deutsch. Ricky picked this movie.
Hello. Hello, I am Ricky.
Hey, I'm Steve.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to ask one quick question, Ricky.
Sure.
Why did you choose this movie?
I'm currently
What was your thought process on choosing this movie?
Well, it's a bit of a selfish reason, but I'm currently going through a John Hughes fest. I started off with 16 Candles about 3 weeks ago, and I was very much like, I think I watched 16 Candles, and I was a little bit like, I don't know whether it's because it's been a long time since I'd seen it, but it felt there was a lot of slapstick and a lot of weird humor in it that I don't remember. So I was like, I wonder if I start going down this John Hughes line, especially with the films
your perception of it has changed a little?
Yeah, and especially the films that I didn't watch multiple times, like Breakfast Club or
Ferris Bueller.
Yeah. Whether they were as strange and oddball as sort of this. So I thought, you know what, this would be great to do for my first choice for this podcast, which would be Pretty in Pink.
That's a good choice. And I watched it with Steve. Steve and Mari came over for dinner. It was myself, Anne, Steve, and Mari. And it was quirky. And not only that, I realized something that I never realized before. First of all, is don't groan. Don't get crazy, okay? Because Steve already doubled down on giving me shits about it. I think this is the first time I watched this movie in its entirety. And I caught glimpses of it in the past. Either someone was watching it or I attempted to watch it and I wasn't ready for it. And I wasn't in the right frame of mind for it. Let's just put it that way. One of the things that I did notice on this viewing, which gave me immense pleasure actually, is something that is probably obvious. That's something that I never noticed. Back in 1994, my life changed. And it changed when I watched two movies that I hired together from the video store. Those movies were Clerks, by Kevin Smith, and the other one was Lahain. Now, and in that session, my entire idea of cinema and film changed completely. And I was like, oh my God, I would love to do this actually. This is great. And not only that, but dialogue, the importance of dialogue. Not only, in retrospect, when I think about it, guys, we grew up in the golden age of Miramax, before all the shit came out with Harvey Weinstein, whatever. This is when independent cinema really was approachable by a young person, a tween or a teenager. And I gotta say, on this viewing, I really realized how much Kevin Smith pays tribute to Hughes' writing.
100%.
And I feel stupid for not realizing that before. Like, even down to the interactions in tracks, in the record store, which we're going to talk about later. Some of the transitions in this movie as well, which, by the way, let's not take anything away from Howard Deutsch, the guy that directed this. He collaborated several times with Hughes before. He's a very serviceable director. He's not, he had the pleasure of working with people which we're going to discuss later. And one of them is the cinematographer. Here is the DOP, the director of photography is Tak Fujimoto. Let's not forget what this guy is. He did Ferris Bueller. He did Silence of the Lambs. I'm going to talk about parallels between these movies as well, because he shoots in a very particular way.
Oh, I can't wait to hear your connection between Silence of the Lambs and Pretty in Pink. This would be great.
No. Well, the connection is between Silence of the Lambs and Ferris Bueller. But
Fair.
Then you catch a glimpse here. It's about fourth wall and what you can do when you are behind the lens if you have certain intentions. And Mr. Fujimoto does things in a particular way to draw you in. It's a shame he's not working anymore. I actually looked him up today. I think he stopped working in 2013, but I could be wrong. It's in my notes, which you can probably hear through the mic, listeners, now. I think he stopped working in... Anyone here that has any clue?
2013.
So I was right, 2013.
You were right.
He's old. He's very, he's an older gentleman. So he probably made the conscious decision to stop working for whatever reason, but it's a shame.
And also, he is royalty in Hollywood. Mentioned films like Badlands, Cannonball. Yeah.
He's an amazing,
Cannibal,
amazing,
definitely. 100%.
amazing artist, master of his craft, really. So that's the thing. Like, I was surprised. I was really surprised. Steve was surprised as well when I admitted to. I had to admit to it. I was like, and you know what? I think we all had slightly different reactions to the movie because it was 4 of us watching it. But Ricky, like Steve posed the question, why did you pick this movie? We're gonna talk about it later, but at the end, did you enjoy it?
Sorry, guys, I've got a cat with me.
I didn't ask you if you think it's a good movie or it's a timeless movie, or did you enjoy the watch, and did Sally enjoy the watch?
I think we have got a few other things to chat about before we get into that sort of deep dive.
No, we're going to get to it, but just give me a yes or no.
No, I'm not going to talk about that yet, because we haven't even introduced the film. We haven't even talked about the plot of the film. We haven't done our normal format.
Wait a second.
Okay?
Fine. I don't care.
I just have to ask a question.
You picked the movie, so here's the overview. It needs to come from you. What's the movie about?
Okay, well, it's funny that you said that I picked the movie, so I say the overview, because I've been doing the overviews every episode so far.
So far.
That's all right. Okay, give us the overview.
Okay, all right. So the plot of this movie is actually almost as standard as you can get for any rom-com teenage romance film, which is girl from the wrong side of the tracks, boy from the rich end of town. They somehow go to the same high school, and it's about the ups and downs of their relationship and how they get together, if they're going to get together, and the trials and tribulations that they hit throughout.
So it's an amalgamation of Romeo and Juliet and Cinderella, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is. At its core, that's if you put these two stories together and then you throw fucking James Spader in it being an asshole, which we're going to talk about.
Hey.
I'm dying here. Anyway, you just described the movie. You described
it was perfect, wasn't it? It was a good description. I've been working on that all day because I knew that I would get posed that question.
Yeah.
But I want to talk to now Steve, and I want to talk to Steve about. So we've talked to me about why I picked the movie. We talked to Umba, who realized that he had never seen the movie fully. So, Steve, your history with this film.
Right. So I saw this as a teen. For me, this is only the second time I've watched the movie in its entirety. Again, it's one of those situations where you watch a movie when you're in that area of your life. This is 1986. So I was young, so I must have seen it on on a TV rerun at some point, or something like that. But I remember it being one of those movies which came up around or got played a lot around a certain friend's house. So it was one of those things that when we were... Sorry about this, guys. I have a cat.
It's a cat. It's a cat touching your microphone.
Yeah, a cat trying to attack the microphone.
Yeah.
And get my attention right now. So this is going to be cut.
No, it's not. Keep going. Okay. I'm not cutting any of this out.
Excellent. So
none of it.
We're going to have cat purrs on the microphone.
Yes.
Excellent. So when that kind of comes around, you have very distinct memories of a movie. You may not capture all those memories in my advanced age, but it was nice to revisit it and see the quirkiness, the upbeatness. It was great to see Annie Potts doing the Susie and the Banshees style, craziness and stuff like that. And she's an amazing actress.
Yeah. We're gonna talk about her. We're gonna talk about her. I think
one of my crushes from this movie. I have to say that.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah,
likewise. All right, the cast. Let's talk about the cast of this movie. And not only that, but the year release, we talked about 1986. Do you know what other movie came out in 1986?
No, because I was 2 years old.
So I'll tell you. It's another anomaly where we have a director releasing, or a writer-director, two big movies. The cover Rite of Passage in this case, so it's a similar thematic. And the other movie was Ferris Bueller.
Yeah.
Released in 1986. These are both movies were extremely profitable, made for less money than you think, and both movies made a ton of money.
Ferris Bueller especially. I know Ferris Bueller had some issues with the original cut. And I think, so the original cut of the Ferris Bueller had to be rearranged. They rearranged all the content to have the fair at the end, whereas it was at the beginning of the original shoot.
Yeah, no doubt.
Like that.
So, I mean, it's not only that, but it's a very unconventional movie as well.
Of course.
At one point in the future, we'll have to cover it. But the thing is, it's interesting to me that you have a similar team working on two large projects around the same time. Like Tak Fujimoto, for example, the director of photography, back-to-back worked on these two movies. And, you have John Hughes, even if he wasn't, I assume that's part of the reason as well why he wasn't directing this. Because he was
possible.
Yeah. But at the same time, he was on the set quite a bit for this. Because Ringwald wouldn't have taken the job without it. It was also the last time they worked together. But that's a different story.
That's another story. Completely.
Yeah, it's another story altogether. And
so shall we go back to the question you asked me?
Well, you let me finish, and I'll tell you. We're talking about the cast.
Yeah. Okay.
And when it comes down to the cast, boy, what a cast! Really,
what an amazing cast this film has.
It is an amazing cast, and the thing is, funnily enough, the supporting cast is way better than the two leads in this.
Yes,
you have Andrew McCarthy.
You
have Andrew McCarthy, and no, it's not interesting. It's actually really like in your face, really, if you think about it. The love interest in the movie, the two leads are Andrew McCarthy and Molly Ringwald. And I can tell you that every time Dean Stanton was on screen, every time James Spader was on screen, every time Annie Potts was on screen, every time John Cryer was on screen, they stole the show.
Yeah,
they
100%.
absolutely steal the show.
Yeah.
And it's unusual and it's unfortunate, but I wonder if this is also another one of the reasons why Ringwald kind of decided to stop working with John Hughes.
Now, I want to combat that opinion because it is an opinion. And I'm not going to defend Andrew McCarthy because
he's indefensible in this, really.
And Andy McCarthy, like one of the first shots you see of Andy McCarthy when he comes to chat to Molly Ringwald at the record store, there was a moment where I was like, "Oh God, his teeth are so bad! Like, what the heck?" There was a moment where like there was this really goofy smile he gives, and I'm like, "That's the leading man." Oh God, no.
But Blaine, it should be a major household appliance.
So what we got to remember is that he wasn't supposed to be the leading man.
No.
Who was meant to be the leading man, Steve?
So the leading man was actually supposed to be Ducky. So John Cryer.
Yes.
That's not what I heard, sir. What I heard is that the role of the leading man was offered to Spader. And actually Spader decided to go for a bad guy because it's much more entertaining to play a bad guy, right?
But I think Steve is referring to the fact that the storyline, the script itself, was completely changed.
Yeah.
No,
so there was basically the entire ending was reshot.
And wait a second, let me address Ricky here for a moment. I just heard what Steve had to say, Ricky, so I understand what he meant as well. And we have the same notes, sir. What are you talking about? Steve,
sorry. Are we making? I think are we making this podcast for just the three of us or for a wider audience?
We are making this just for the three of us. If someone wants to listen to it, they can, sir.
I really don't understand why they would.
That's exactly it. And if you start recording for other people, it's not going to work. So I can tell you, if you're listening, thank you for listening. If you're not listening, who gives a shit? Right, so Spader was meant to take the lead. You're right, but also there's a lot of like musical chairs played with the cast, right?
Yeah, so there were a lot of different people which auditioned and turned down parts. I believe John Cryer was another choice. I think. Do
you remember who was meant to take John Cryer's role?
So.
If you don't, I'll tell you.
I can't remember.
Charlie Sheen,
yeah.
Funnily enough, these two guys then ended up working together 20 years later.
Yeah, so there is an interesting story about that because So when they actually went through this with the cast, Molly Ringwald didn't want Charlie Sheen.
No.
Because he looked too square-jawed, too, yeah.
I mean, it's ultimately, this is the role that I guess defined an entire generation, 2 generations later, if you think about it. And by that, what I mean is, if you look at the dancing sequence with John Cryer, that's the birth of TikTok, pretty much.
Pretty much, yep.
And the friend zone. It's gonna be the biggest depiction of being friend zoned by somebody. Absolutely riveting stuff. Not only that, but I saw a different take on Cryer's character, on Ducky. Did you know that he's I think years later, Molly Ringwald basically in an interview said that she thought that Cryer's character, Ducky, is basically someone who is gay but didn't know it yet, who basically comes out of the closet later in life. And if you think about it, it kind of it suits
There's a lot of stylization that goes on with the Ducky character.
Absolutely, he's a gay icon. Did you know that? I didn't know that.
And he's it screams a closeted teen, especially from the 80s, where you kind of look at the yuppie stylings of James Spader and Blaine, and then you've got this alternative crowd. And they, their taste in music and all of that stuff never gets properly explained. And the bands that they're listening to at that club range from like punk music to hillbilly rock to all of a sudden this very like folky, downplayed music as well. So you're like, what sort of club is this?
I kind of like what he tried to do with the music here, though, because it gets a reflection of the times as well. If you remember, the top 10 or the charts have various genres in it. Now there's kind of this homogenized feeling that everything that is mass-produced sounds exactly the same. And it's, as much as I sound like an old man saying it, we're talking about the charts, or we're talking about just popular music in general tends to sound the same. I think it's the inevitable kind of peak of this. If it's a curve, I think it was inevitable that in 20 years or 30 years it will, and it was going to end up that way, pretty much, because there's a certain structure to what's popular, musically, sonically speaking. So it was so I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. It's just inevitable, and that's it. But did you know that obviously Hughes had a complete hold over what music was going to be played in this movie? And one of the things that I heard, because actually I watched this with Steve, and Steve knew every single one of the songs and why they were there. So I thought, I got to find some info. He had to throw at Steve because he was doing really my head in while watching the movie. And I had to keep darting my eyes towards him going, can you keep it for the podcast? Can you shut the fuck up?
And even pointing out that Molly Ringwald's then boyfriend, I can't remember, Zappa's son, was in one of the scenes. Dweezil Zappa. Yeah.
And by the way, when he did that, I went on IMDb immediately, and the last person put in the credits blew my mind.
Yeah,
Richard Patrick from Filter. He plays one of the students. Oh, did I take one of the factoids away from you? By factoids, yes. No, sexual toys from the future. That's not tidbits, but that's what we're going to call them. We're going to call them factoids. Go on.
Are they just droids? Which but like,
until the machine rise, and then there's not going to be any more abuse or exploitation. Well, go on.
As I picked this film, I've got to admit I've been okay. So you asked me the question earlier, like, how did I feel rewatching this film? So this film, I decided I wasn't going to take extensive notes. I was just going to sit down and enjoy this film. Because it's been a while since I'd seen this film, so I'm just going to sit down, enjoy it as if, I'm like rented it from the video store, stuck it in the machine, and just like, I've got to give this back tomorrow. So
way to go. That's the way to do it.
That's kind of how we work as well.
Yeah. And I hope you did enjoy it, but you're going to tell us later at the end. So
I will tell you later. But because I picked it, and afterwards I was imagining, what are we going to chat about with this film and all that? What sort of aspects are we going to look at this film? Yeah. I went on a super deep dive. I have picked up every single fact as part. I've like gone through the cast list. I have tried to figure out like who was dating who and why were they there and why is James Spader such a douche in this film?
What a waste!
He wanted to play an evil person.
Energy and research. But
yeah,
anyway,
and I know. I've done it in 4 days though. I feel like I've learned every single fact about this film.
all right. Let us. Okay, I'll go first, and Steve can question you as well. So we'll like a little trivia show. All right. So you go all the stuff, right? Steve,
I try to get as much.
Steve, ask him a question.
Oh God.
Yeah, but a bit of trivia that you know, and see. Let's see how deep was this dive. Let's see if you actually screen dived, sir. I said
Is that like when an artist like takes the name of an album or a song and then slips it through?
Kinda. Who else was also almost played Blaine?
I was going to say Robert Downey Jr., but that was Ducky.
That's correct, but that's not the question.
Boop. Because we already know.
We already know. And
we brought that up.
Charlie Sheen, because you guys have already brought him up.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say,
Spader.
Was it Rob Lowe?
It just was. You know what? At this point, it could have been, I guess. But tell us who it was.
There was such a huge list. Like I know that they tried to get like there was like 4 different names tied to Andy, the role of Andy, including there was like a load of people from St. Elmo's Fire, including Demi Moore was like one of the names that was mentioned.
Was it Hall from 16 Candles? No, he was also up to play John Christ's character.
Yes.
Yeah. So true. And he didn't want to do it because he didn't want to get typecasted.
Hilariously, he didn't want to get typecast after doing the Breakfast Club.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, but it's not the... his career really took off after, so it's not, he was.
All right, you've stumped me on the first question. Well done, Umba. Well done.
No, that was Steve. Don't come for me. That was Steve, and he didn't matter. Okay, wait a second, Steve. I got a question for him because this is interesting, and I know you know the answer for this. You must. So, what is the thing that James Spader did? Let me finish the question. What is the thing that James Spader did? And Steve, you're already mouth open like great dance. You're not playing for this fridge and stove ensamble.
Can I go for
Ricky
can
may
I go
win?
for the board game just to the right of you?
You're going for the
one
board
with,
game?
Yeah.
Okay. We went from I don't know why we went from the 60s to whatever the fuck era it is that they give in board games. Maybe now, because we kickstarted costing hundreds of thousands. Right, okay, wait a second. So, what is the thing that James Spader did during his audition that was almost responsible for him not getting the role and was also responsible for him getting the role?
So first of all, he was very dismissive to both John Hughes and Howard Deutsch. And then during his thing, he was very monotone. And then he started smoking a cigarette. And just as he left, he threw the cigarette into the ground and heeled it into the carpet and didn't even say goodbye and just walked out.
I'm so proud of you. Well done, dude. You nailed it. You absolutely nailed it. That's the thing he did. And let's talk about Spader.
Let's talk about Spader.
What a douchebag.
He's so amazing.
Yeah, I know, but he's the perfect all the way through his career. He's beginning to look like John Lithgow, by the way. I watched an interview with him recently. He's beginning to look. I noticed 2 things about it. The first one I noticed is, and bear with me because it's a big revelation here. Listeners, we're not recording for you, but if you're listening, all right, we're sharing this pearl of wisdom with you. Something, or maybe I'm just an idiot that never realized this. I always thought that there will never be, or there was never somebody, not even close to the type of acting that Christopher Walken has been churning out for years when it comes down to his diction and his pacing whenever he talks, right? And yet, I noticed this time around that if there is another actor that can be placed next, and this doesn't take away from Christopher Walken at all, okay? Because it's not a put on, it's just the way they are, But with Spader as well, is the other actor that I can put right next to him when it comes down to his delivery. He does have a particular way he...
certain cadence.
Yeah, this the way he stops and starts again, or the way the pitch of his voice changes, or the energy that goes into the next sentence. It's quite particular. And man is slappable in this.
Oh, he's so good.
But he's got that perfect amalgamation in the way he is of being charming and revolting at the same time. Like it's got that creepy kind of... He's extremely charismatic, and yet you're repulsed by him. It's nobody like him, man.
So Sally said to me, that was very strange seeing Spader the way he was, because she remembers Spader the most from Stargate. That was when she first got exposed to Spader as just a geeky guy who knows a lot about architecture and history and all that stuff.
Right, yeah.
And then the second one was Boston Legal. Now, she can't remember whether he was sleazy or whatever in Boston Legal.
Was.
But I said to her, actually, I thought that was the perfect James Spader version of James Spader I know, because of Sex, Lies and Videotapes, the Secretary, him playing Robert California in The Office, just this phenomenal, really sleazy, really absolutely cutting individual. And I was that was if anything perfected what James Spader did for the rest of his career. Pretty in Pink was this is what this guy's gonna be for the rest of his life.
It defined him as an actor. If he winged it, then he set the pace for the rest of how people perceive him.
So
it's for the rest of his career.
I actually wanted to. Now, I've only done a little bit of this, so please humor me on this. I wanted to take every single line of James Spader's dialogue from Pretty in Pink and just read it out. But I've only done it for the first time you see James Spader, because I think it's almost perfect setup for a bad guy I've ever read or ever heard. So his...
Have you got it? Have you got it?
Yeah, I've got it right here, man.
Please, tell me.
So it's see you later, guys. Andy, you look ravishing. So we graduate in a month. Now, I want to know, when is it that you and I are going to get together and do something? Well, I'm talking more about than just sex here. You know, I've liked you for 4 years and you treat me like shit, you know? I don't understand what's the problem. Oh, you know, I've been out with a lot of girls at this school. I don't see what makes you so different. And then the killer, the best bit of this scene is, you're a bitch, you know? I think you ought to see a doctor, 'cause that condition of yours could get a lot worse. And then he leaves, and it's so good. It's in that moment, you're just he is the worst guy in this film.
Mega creep. He's the equivalent of the guy going, "Hey, beautiful, you want to go out? No, thank you. I have a boyfriend. Fuck you, then." That's the equivalent of. It's man. He's a creep.
It's so, and there's another line he says that Sally loved the most, but again, sums up his character so well. And remember, he's part of the rich crowd, the crowd that, throws parties, destroy their parents' houses, and never gets any repercussions for it. And his line is, money really means nothing to me. Do you think I'd treat my parents' house this way if it did?
Yeah.
Yeah, as he's running a joint, by the way.
Yeah.
He's running a joint because it's out of frame, but you know what he's doing.
Yeah. It's so good. Oh, it's just, his character just sums up to me what this film is really about, which is as you said, Romeo and Juliet and Cinderella.
Yeah.
That's what this film is.
He plays a total Chad. That's what basically he plays. And it's he plays the type of character that, you know, in Your Honor, for example, or whatever, if you were a kid and you came from, and you just ran over someone with the car, you would expect your parents to just cover it up, basically.
Yeah. It's
terrible.
Oh, mate, it's there are a load of TV series at the moment, or over the past 10 years, where we see this character over and over again. Yeah. And
they're very real, man.
They are there.
Yeah,
but not only that, they are there for the audience to instantly go, "Oh, I don't like this guy." No,
of course.
No,
of course, it's a good device. It's a very good device. When it comes down to the supporting cast, you know, we talked about Spader. Now, I think we could talk about Spader for hours, right?
We could.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. But I gotta say, besides, obviously, John Cryer can't really be defined. He's almost not a supporting character. I mean, he's on the cover of the film. Like, he's also the other love interest, and it's, the ending of the movie was rewritten, and the version that hopefully one day we'll see, the original ending, because apparently that's not. The ending that we got in this movie was the one that the original ending tested with people when they did a screen test when the movie was released originally, and it didn't work out with the crowd. So they had to change that. But Cryer has the right to be on that cover. So I cannot consider him supporting cast here.
No, he's not.
But who is supporting cast? That's all the show. There's two. We're going to talk about the first one. Steve, Harry Dean Stanton.
Oh, Harry Dean Stanton.
Yeah.
My God.
Man.
Yeah, I mean...
He's so fucking good.
I forgot he was in the movie. Until we sat down. And
I did as well.
Pretty much one of the first things which pops up from a name.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh,
in the opening credits,
opening credits. I mean,
you know what I noticed when I watched this, Ricky, I hope you noticed this as well, how much range he has, man, because the characters that he plays, and it's a job of a character actor to do that, but not to this extent, because usually there's a certain amount of emotional charge, but not that much. And here, he does it so well. It looks and feels like a real person. It really, really, really does. It's on screen. He's on screen for probably 5 minutes throughout the entire movie. But that entire sequence with her as well, it just brought me back to thinking about the roles that I grew up watching him in that blew my mind. Like, you could argue that Paris, Texas is one of the most heartbreakingly beautiful movies and heart-wrenching as well ever made because of that ending. It's also a movie that will teach you how to be rewarded by a movie that paces really slowly and then has a payoff that is gigantic at the end. Really. There's actually no other movie that I could compare to Paris, Texas when it comes down to the payoff at the end.
True.
No other movie.
And I find with this character that he was playing, it's so easy that he could have played it one note. Like,
yeah, no, he doesn't.
Of course, the baseline of his character is he's an alcoholic whose wife has left him. That's the base of the character.
Yeah,
and he could have played it one note.
It's never bluntly said to you. It's stated, but there's a particular sequence when you'll notice it. Yeah.
But, I mean, Steve, how did you feel about the scene with Andy, Molly Ringwald's character, towards... it's like in the last act of the film.
So you're meaning the dress sequence where they're having a very touching moment, or
probably actually talk about both.
So one of the key things that you get from that is that he's not turning up to the job. He's not turning up to the job interviews. This guy's going straight to a bar, and yet he's possibly sold a car to buy a dress at the same time. So
there's a lot of impulsivity in his car. You're right. It's the way it's posed to the viewer, though. It's very subtle. Because the movie doesn't want to take the focus away from what the story's about. But I get it. You're right. I actually didn't think about the car.
No. So, and the fact that he every single time he looks at her, he sees her mum. That's it. Yeah. That's the key emphasis on this. And he's struggling because every single time he looks at her face, he sees his wife. And he's still in love. He's still in love. She's walked out 3 years before, and he's still in love with her. That's an emotional charge. And you have to follow your heart. Have to follow your dreams. That's it. That's kind of what he's stating.
Absolutely.
And if it hurts, it hurts. Go with it.
That's absolutely. It's amazing how he managed to do that with very little screen time. It's just amazing. He's an amazing actor. Do you remember how endearing the way the entire sequence is great. The camera's pretty far away as well, and you've got both of them in the frame. It's Ducky and Jack and their father talking.
Yeah,
and there's moments in which, there's an interplay between the two of them. Ducky has decided that he's declaring his undying love for his daughter to the father, which is a very unusual thing to do, when you're so far away from whatever this relationship that was in Ducky's mind was going, okay, or where he wanted the relationship to be. You can see the way Jack is looking at him, which is kind of almost, there's a level of amusement without malice, which is, that's kind of sweet without saying it, but it's just the way he looks at him. I don't know if you remember the
Yeah,
sequence
I
in
do.
question.
It's just that the way he turns around. And
Yeah, but
looks
there's
at
no
him.
derision. He doesn't look at him like, oh, you
No.
know, this is a joke
it's
and
just-
you're not a threat at all. But it's more like he's thinking about young love, or he's thinking about the way he met his wife, basically.
and the whole theme for the whole movie is that, you know, unrequited love, or the love that's just out of reach, or what you have to work for to get the love that you want, sort of thing. Now, let's talk about Annie Potts.
Ah, yes.
Okay,
Iona.
I have a very I loved her character, but I have a very, like, looking at it through the eyes of now, the current culture and stuff.
Right.
She gave up
Tread
all of her
carefully, Ricky.
quirkiness for a guy, didn't she?
For one guy, yeah.
She gave
right
up
at the
all of her
end.
quirkiness, right?
Yeah.
She,
Yeah.
her like she's an amazing character, and she's probably one of the best characters of the film. But by the end of it, she was like, you know what? It's too hard trying to figure out what my own identity is, and I'm too quirky. So you know what? This guy.
So
this guy
you know
with a
that she's
So-
much older. She's Andy's boss. You know that, right?
Yeah,
But-
she's like at least 10 years older than Andy.
Yeah. So and it's also the 80s. People aged at a different rate. So I assume that it got to that point in which she had to settle. But you're right. All the creativity that she exuded before, all of a sudden it goes out the window.
Mm-hmm.
I get it.
But it feels like that scene may have been added in
Oh, okay.
as a foretelling.
Perhaps. But also it seems as
that's-
well that she's role-playing that as well.
Yeah.
Because when she's getting ready to go out, all of a sudden she's dressed like what she envisioned a yappy to wear.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm.
So there's a lot of, you know what I mean? Like she's putting on
While
a costume
she's still
to go and do
singing
this thing.
In the background and being quirky.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah. So it's a dreamer through and through, you know. But
But I just also, and her reaction to Ducky, like, stealing a kiss from her, and like that
yeah.
whole scene. But
It's bizarre.
the swearing in this film took me by surprise, because I did not remember how much swearing and how much creative swearing there was in this film. I loved it. I thought it was amazing. But
it's
like,
unusual for the era. Yeah, you're
yeah,
right.
because
Yeah.
like the R word gets thrown around quite hard in one of the scenes, and just the ballsy, like, her when she like faces Blaine finally for Blaine basically being like, I don't think I want to go to the prom with you anymore, Andy. All of that stuff. What I found really brilliant about that was that she reacted exactly how a teenage girl would, which is like, threw him against the locker and been like, F you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I also like how Spada creepingly is watching the peep show, you know, by the stairs.
From the stairs. And,
Super creepy.
It's
Like mouth half open, like,
It's my chance.
Yeah.
It's my chance.
I
told
haven't-
you, she's not one of us. She's
I haven't
not
had
one
her
of
in
us.
4 years, but nor can you.
No, absolutely phenomenal. Did you guys know that school that is, it might as well be another, it might be one. Don,
The school?
Don, no, you didn't
Oh.
bring it up. What? Okay, let's see. What am I going to say about the school, Steve?
Are you going to say that the school was also used in another movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. Shall I say it?
Throw
Or
it
do
in
you
there,
want to
man.
say
Don't
it?
ask permission. Just throw it in there.
It's a film which was used in Greece.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Yes.
Greece is the word.
It was.
Yeah.
Yes. What?
Which is a weird situation because Mary compared this movie to Greece
Oh,
on the way
well.
home
Yeah. Yeah.
and said that Greece was a much better movie.
Ooh.
It's debatable, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But it's a cult
Well,
status. But regardless of
talking
what you
about
think of
that-
Greece, yeah.
Talking about that, it was a reason why John Hughes, pretty much after making this movie, which, by the way, this is by no means a bomb of a movie. This is
No, it
it's
isn't.
a lot of
Movie-
money.
This movie made a lot of money,
It did.
probably even before it got released. There was so much hype behind this movie, and there was so many billboards and all of that stuff. There was so much going for this movie
Absolutely.
that it was never going to be a flop. It was always going to be a hit,
Yeah.
regardless.
This is the third movie in the Brat Pack trilogy, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And also, it cost $9 million to make. In US money alone, in the US,
And some
it made
people would
40
argue,
plus million, dude. That
some
was a
people
lot
would
of money.
argue because St. Elmo's Fire also came before this. It was maybe maybe even the fourth movie, because if you include 16 Candles, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But what I found really interesting about that this movie was such a hit, John Hughes hated some of the editing and the choices that were made by other producers and by the movie system, that he made this. Yep, Paramount. He made the same movie again the following year. Some Kind of Wonderful is the same exact movie again that got released the following year, but instead of Ducky not being the winner of Andy,
the underdog, because that's what he is in this movie.
Yeah, the underdog. He flipped around the genders. So Andy was played by Eric Stoltz, and I can't remember what his character is in Some Kind of Wonderful. And it was just the same movie again, but this time with the original ending.
Yeah, and the gender.
What year was Back to the Future released? The first one.
Was it 88 or 85?
No, I think it was around this time. Man, anything between 82 and 88, just murdered when it comes down to timelessness. Yeah, unbelievable. That there's when it comes down to popular cinema.
85 was Back to
85. There you go. So guess what?
Well done.
Guess what? Eric Stoltz was coming off. He was coming off getting sacked.
Eric Stoltz
from
got
Back
told
to the Future.
No, I don't think he got. So one of the reasons why with Eric Stoltz got Back to the Future was because of Some Kind of Wonderful.
Oh,
well then,
I believe. I think there was something.
How is that possible? Back to the Future is 80
because they're not filmed. They're not filmed because of special effects and everything else.
Oh no, but Some Kind of Wonderful was definitely made
before.
No, it was made 87 because
87.
Anyway.
Okay, yeah. So it's the other way around then.
There
was something happened. There's something in the back of my mind. I'd have to do.
You have to do a screen dive.
We have to do a screen dive on it.
The screener dive.
Yeah, but there was something which was a key element to him getting the part for that movie.
Absolutely,
and it was based off the back of whatever happened in the Back to the Future.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, losing that movie kind of derailed his career a little, but it's still
but he got like Mask and all of that stuff, which actually was a hit.
Absolutely. We talked about the school being a separate entity, and it almost deserves a credit in this. But there's a lot of people on key scenes in this movie that happen in that school. But talking about the setting, school is one of them. The other one is the city. And the city is LA. And I just realized one thing, because I was doing a dive as well. We all dived.
All dived.
I never realized a very obvious thing about John Hughes. And that is that he has a very similar relationship and attachment to a city as much as, I don't know, let's say Woody Allen and New York. And that is Chicago. Every single John Hughes movie is set in Chicago. And this is the only one that is not set in Chicago. It's set in LA.
Well done, Umba. That was something I didn't research.
There you go. If you think about it, even Trains, Planes, and Automobiles as Chicago.
Of course.
It's an interesting little thing that I didn't know, and it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice to see directors that know a city so well and they don't write for any other. And that's another way to be effective, really, to be honest.
Yeah, to know the environment and let that environment feed into your whole film. Yeah, the characters that you're going to write operate within that world and that setting, so it will be more cohesive. There's more flavor to something like that. When it comes down to John Hughes as well, and his collaborators, freaking collaborator, which is Howard Deutsch. I wasn't familiar with his name that much until we watched this movie. The next thing that he did just let me stay on John Hughes here for a second. I didn't notice one thing about his work, and it's unusual. If you look at the credits of his work, he died in when did he die? He was 59, heart attack. We lost him in 2009. Yep. Which, by the way, he died in August 2009, and we covered this movie on the 6th of August. We covered this movie a few days after
Yeah.
But when it comes down to John Hughes, he died in 2009, but he stopped directing much earlier than that.
Yeah.
His last and eighth movie was directed by him was Curly Sue with James Belushi.
Oh, yeah.
I've never watched it.
I watched it as a kid. It was one of those movies that you would want to get as a kid because it was a kid on the cover.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were a kid, it's like, that's, I can relate to that.
And more importantly, he only directed 8 movies.
Yeah, that's what I just said. The Curly Sue was the number 8. But the other thing I didn't notice until yesterday, was that if you posthumously, there's a lot of his work that got made after his death. There's like all those like Home Alone sequels, whatever. They were scripts that never got realized or made, or we are still making movies about characters that he wrote. Like if you look on, it's insane. It's insane, but it makes a lot of sense as well. He was a very prolific writer, and if you look at his credits, he has a ton of credits as a writer. Like, not. I can assume that if you're a filmmaker making a rite of passage movie in the 90s and early 2000s, you would probably have him as some kind of consultant. The studio would go to John Hughes first.
But also, it's inspired other directors. Look at
Absolutely,
Spider-Man.
like Kevin Smith. We mentioned Kevin Smith. Look at Clerks or Mallrats. After this viewing of Pretty in Pink, so thank you for picking this, Rick. I never noticed the parallels. Steve, what were you saying?
Also, more modern films like the newest Spider-Man trilogy. That was also, it has the same kind of quirkiness that you'd expect.
Well, the high school romance
kind
of thing.
Yeah, and the directors actually pulled straight from and said, the script
Sam Raimi
is not Sam Raimi, because we're talking about the last 3 Spider-Man movies.
Ah, okay, sorry. I thought you were talking about the trilogy that mattered to me.
No.
That's all right.
But the quirkiness and the John Hughes-ness is all there.
Yeah.
But then there's homages as well. Deadpool.
Yeah.
So the first one with the Ferris Bueller's Day Out.
True.
Which is a perfect.
Although
and the
Peter
whole
Parker
breaking
was
the
written.
fourth wall. Yeah.
Oh, well.
Which we need to talk about.
Yeah, we do need to talk about that.
Because there is one direct breaking the fourth wall.
There is. And I wonder if this was the progenitor of basically the entire movie when it comes down to Ferris Bueller. They were made at the same time. But when Ducky turns around and kind of winks at the... I found that delightful. And you know why it was delightful? Because it happens once. And it happens right at the end. It happens after we gave a shit about this character. So if he does that, I want you to do it to me. Wink at me. Which, by the way, breaking the fourth wall and Tak Fujimoto. So we talked about John Hughes. We mentioned Albert Deutsch. He was a very... I called him I don't mean to offend when I say he was very practical, as a very functional director. What I mean is that it seems to me that he takes a job and he does a good job. And in fact, his career proves it, because the next movie he did after this, Albert Deutsch, was possibly his last big feature, or one of the last big features. And it's a comedy that may not be the greatest, but it's very close to my heart. And it was also the last collaboration between Howard Deutsch and John Hughes. And that movie is The Great Outdoors with Dan Aykroyd.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
And John Candy.
Yeah, it's so good.
The way Aykroyd plays that fucking character, Roman. Have you seen it? Have you seen it recently again?
Yeah.
It's still funny, man.
I haven't seen it, but I know the videotape I had got worn down.
It's because it's a John Candy movie.
Yeah.
And if you're a kid and you don't like John Candy, then
there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, there's something wrong with you. But unless you're a kid that grows up in a world where there is no John Candy, which is, I'm sorry, Richard,
I mean, Howard Deutsch did a lot more work after that. Mostly TV.
Wait. That's what I was about to say. So I was saying that The Great Outdoors ended. It kind of was the last thing, and then he basically did a string of television, including stuff that actually had very notable success. I mean, when it comes down to the zeitgeist, and that is True Blood. He worked on True Blood. He did a bunch of episodes of True Blood. He did a bunch of episodes of other stuff.
Yeah.
But I did call him a very practical, functional kind of, you give him a job, he does the job. And I'm sorry, but that's what television is. Particularly.
Yeah. But I think you're also forgetting his work with Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau. Which
he did sequel to
he did sequel
Grumpy
for
Old
Grumpy Old Men, and he did the sequel for The Odd Couple too.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
He did The Odd Couple too. Yeah.
Notable.
I mean, the way I see it is that
the masterpiece that is Grumpier Old Man.
Grumpier Old Man.
When a studio didn't want to put a 2 next to a fucking sequel.
But it leads to what you said, which is like he was a functional director.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's why John Hughes was more than happy for him to take this project and the following project of Some Kind Wonderful, because it's like, I know he can just get on with it.
Yeah.
Imagine being Tak Fujimoto working on both movies at the same time, or kind of, because the two productions must have happened, must have crisscrossed at some point. Yeah. So Tak was doing this movie, was doing Pretty in Pink, and then he was working on Ferris Bueller. Which, by the way, here's my segue. Tak Fujimoto. And why, you asked me earlier, so I want to watch the struggle of making comparisons between Pretty in Pink and Silence of the Lambs. And I'll tell you what the parallels are. You want to hear it?
Yeah, I want to hear it.
Go ahead. I want to hear this.
And then I want you to connect it to Grumpier Old Man. Okay. But carry on.
Close-ups.
Yes.
Close-ups in this movie, like they are in Ferris Bueller, like they are here, and like they are in Silence of the Lambs.
Especially when you get that first reveal of,
Yeah. If you remember Silence of the Lambs, you remember the fucking dick between the legs dance that I would fuck me, would you fuck me?
Wow.
That fucking
there
Buffalo
are
Bill
so
does.
many other scenes that I thought of before that one, but thanks for bringing that straight up to the surface.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I don't know how many girlfriends over the years I had to scare with shit like this, but every single person here has done it as well. Dick between the legs, tucked in, is like, oh. Absolutely, it's a must. But the other thing that you remember from that movie is the close-up from Silence of the Lambs, possibly what is more notable, the thing that it's ingrained in people's minds, is one of the many monologues that it's not a monologue, he's having a conversation with Clarice, and the way it's framed, when it comes down to the way a sequence is composed, but when it comes down to close-ups, they're identical, and that stucks. Like, he's fixated with the human eye, first of all. That's one thing that he does very well. He captures the eyes very well. And in Silence of the Lambs, when Hannibal Lecter is addressing Clarice, he's not really addressing Clarice. He's addressing you. He's addressing the viewer. And in fact, the parallel here is that in that movie, which actually, it's not really a parallel, but in that movie you have an actor that is, the caliber of Anthony Hopkins staring into your soul, or when he's talking to Clarice. And in Pretty in Pink, you manage to kind of empathize, and you are going to dislike this, Ricky, but it's my opinion, okay? I really do not rate Molly Ringwald at all as an actress. And this role originally was actually meant to go to guess who? Another DNA Jodie Foster, and she was a much better actress as a young actress. I mean, look at her in Taxi Driver, and it's the movie.
I thought you were going to say
services.
Freaky Friday. Then yes, I would
of
agree.
That as well.
That
as well. Absolutely. They're two
or that
different
darn
worlds.
cat. Was it that darn cat she was in? Yeah.
And I don't mean to take anything away from Molly Ringwald, but I personally don't really rate her as a great actor. I really don't, and I never will. I'm sorry. I got nothing against gingers. I got nothing against gingers.
Yes, you do.
That's I got nothing against my brother.
You know what?
Is a ginger.
This girl was wearing grandma glasses from the start of this film, and I just can't get on board with that. And her hairstyle, what the, she looked better in her 40s than she did in her teenage years, which never happens with women actresses. Is that what you were thinking, Umba? Is that what was going on in your head?
I don't know who that guy is, whoever you're talking about. That's awful.
Okay, let me we've brought up Molly Ringwald, so let me go on the defense of Molly Ringwald. Okay. When I was watching 16 Candles, and the last time I watched The Breakfast Club, the one I really wasn't getting on board with Molly Ringwald. Now, the reason for 16 Candles is because she kept having these weird monologues where she kept talking about her feelings, and I was just sort of like, oh, come on, get over it. My goodness. Oh, just keep going.
You're that guy now, man.
Yeah,
you are that guy now.
Anyway, and
then a woman's talking about her feelings. Oh my god.
No. I never said woman talking about her feelings. I was pointing towards a 16-year-old talking about her feelings, and it's like, okay,
it's all right. Just throw some ageism in there as well. It's okay.
And then with Breakfast Club, I was just sort of like, what? Why does Judd Nelson want to get with that? Out of everybody in this film.
Yep.
Hey, wait. So,
I'm still trying to defend Molly Ringwald.
Okay, yeah, please.
In this film, I started watching it and I was like, great, another Molly Ringwald film. You know, like I recently watched 16 Candles and I wasn't getting on with her in that. So let's see what she does. But by the time it got to the last act and she had those real heavy hitter scenes with Harry Dean Stanton and with Andrew McCarthy in the high school.
Okay.
Those were the scenes that made me go, I get it now. She may not be somebody on paper that you sort of go, oh, you know, this person should be our leading lady. But she pulled it out of the park. She absolutely hit a home run with those two scenes. Those two scenes were amazing.
Okay.
Now, what she turned that dress into, that's a whole nother story. I didn't like that dress.
Actually, dude, you know what? It's funny you say that. It's funny you say that. The person that did the clothing for this, and we discussed this on another episode, and we already shared with our listeners.
Here we go. We're going to connect back to Mystery Men, everyone.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, the episode that you don't know if we did it already or we're going to do it. Now you know. There's no order to this madness. We're not recording this for you. You don't need to listen to this. All right? Now, the reality is it's Marilyn Vance. Yeah. We talked about, and again, you know what? Marilyn Vance did not like the dress. And neither did Molly Ringwald. Didn't like the dress.
Nobody liked the dress.
And you know
I don't know who liked the dress.
That's the reason why they used the dress. Because Marilyn Vance, in the end, had to make a very strong choice, and I agree with her choice. It looks like she's wearing a fucking curtain, dude. Yeah. But the idea is that she's poor. And it needed to look like something that she put together herself. And it does look that way.
But the dress before, which was a 1950s dress, looked great.
Yes, great.
It looked great beforehand. To a point that Sally imagines this conversation that happened like after the film. I was like, yeah, you know that dress that I lent you, that my mum brought me? I didn't say you could destroy it.
How is this your defense for fucking Molly Ringwald, dude?
She's
a shit tailor as well.
Yeah, but that was as you said, Molly Ringwald said, I don't like the dress. And I'm sure she would have, if she didn't like, there's just so much about what Molly Ringwald represents to me in this film that made me go, she was the perfect person for. You can tell the film was written for her. Now, Andrew McCarthy...
The film was written. The film is actually... Dude, you know the story of this fucking film. She went to John Hughes and went, I really like that song by the Psychedelics First. Yes, I know that it's a Psychedelics First because Steve actually...
First.
Dude, if you saw him respond to me not fucking knowing the name of the band that played the song, he gave me a look from across the room.
Oh my God.
It made me question our fuck Klaus Jensen.
I'm not going to tell you. I was just I've got to tell him.
He looked at me like, you fucking idiot.
And
you don't know?
This is probably another reason I picked this film, because I recently saw the Psychedelic First and they still kick ass like now. And that film was...
anyway, the factoid. So wait a second. You saw them live recently?
Yeah, I saw them. They were on the same bill with Blondie and Alice Cooper at this
they played Pretty in Pink.
They played Pretty in Pink.
And that is where you got the inspiration and why you dragged us into this 1986 pseudo...
So there is another character.
Which is not. It's not a piece of shit.
So we're getting your opinion coming through. Okay.
Wait a second. Okay, no. This is because you're defending Molly Ringwald. I'm upset. Okay? She's indefensible as well. All right? I got nothing against her.
You do.
It sounds
you
like
do.
But I don't.
How dare you defend somebody who was 18 at this film? She was only 18 at this film.
No, man, stop it. Age?
She was only 18.
Me? Look at the girl that plays Bella in the Last of Us. What the fuck are you talking about? There's young talent out there, and I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to.
You are. You're deep diving through this, man.
He's screen diving through this.
You're turning me.
And the 6 listeners we have are slowly turning off because they know exactly what you're going to say.
We don't care. We don't care. Okay, wait a second. So I lost myself in this hatred.
Molly Ringwald hatred.
Yeah.
Have we talked about?
Ducky's
dance?
No. Wait a second. I've got a rebuttal. Okay, so you're defending Molly Ringwald.
Mm-hmm.
Steve, you may know this, please, because I got to put him in the spot now. Let me put him in the spot. Ricky, did you enjoy the Dahmer Netflix series? It was great. It was riveting stuff. I think it was. I hope you've seen it.
Wait,
the Jeffrey Dahmer, the Dahmer story.
Yeah.
It was amazing, right?
Yeah. Yes and no, but yeah, go on.
But it was enthralling. It was entertaining.
I watched all of it. Whether I enjoyed all of it or not, that's a whole nother thing, especially because I knew a lot about Jeffrey Dahmer before going into it. So I felt like it was...
Anne, like any other woman I know in the universe that is obsessed with true crime, she made me watch the show, and I enjoyed it, actually.
I enjoyed them. I enjoyed it. Obviously, what happened was not something enjoyable.
Of course
because
not.
Obviously,
of course not.
It's
well, you're afraid we're going to get cancelled because I enjoy a series about serial killer.
Because you just want to put bodies
in
barrels in your
I do not condone the actions of Jeffrey Dahmer. My fridge has no severed heads in it. No severed heads in my freezer.
But I do enjoy men at nightclubs.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Not that there's anything wrong.
No, there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, nothing.
So why am I bringing this up? Do you know who was in that movie?
Yeah, Molly Ringwald was in it.
Playing what? Dawn?
Was it Dahmer's
you looking up shit?
mum?
Don't look shit up.
No. Was it Dahmer's mum? I remember she was.
She was.
Yeah,
and the thing that you're
she
like,
did a good job.
Maybe, it didn't come up. Nobody said anything. The idea is, as an actor, I think your job is to be as memorable as possible. And she is one of the leads in this. If I think of Pretty in Pink, personally, the last person I'm thinking of is her.
Yeah.
The performances that really leave a mark here are John Cryer, which you can't take that away from him. He's unbelievable on screen. And he ad-libbed some stuff here, by the way.
Oh, a lot of stuff. He's ad-libbed.
Yes.
The bathroom scene, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What is it?
We don't get candy machines in our bathrooms. Yeah.
You got doors? You got doors?
You got doors?
You got mirrors? It's like,
You know, like his entire character is it's really
and
funny.
Even the whole, like, Blaine? His name's Blaine?
Blaine?
Yep. Do you remember Andrew Dice Clay? Hickory Dock outside the fucking...
Yeah.
He's next to a barbecue. And let me finish this, all right? I said to Steve, what the fuck? Is that a barbecue outside a club? And then collectively, Anne, Steve, and Mari turn around and go, yeah, so? Like, what do you mean? Yeah, you used to get, like, a sausage. Anne's like, you used to eat sausages. Like, that's which made me feel extremely fat, by the way. The fact that Anna has a memory of us going clubbing, and the thing she remembers is me eating sausages outside a club. But the idea is that it's a which
sausages and onions.
Absolutely. And we live in the UK. So worldwide, this was a thing. To have a dude with a barbecue just cooking shit that people could eat when they came out of the club. But the fact that, you can see that the barbecue is decommissioned. And it's just fucking Andrew Dice Clay talking shit and trying to light up a cigarette.
A Dice t-shirt, a self-promotion and all that stuff.
Yep.
Brilliant.
And he gets shut down as well because he's about to do a very lewd joke. And that's when Ducky turns around and goes, no. And he walks away with her because it was about him getting on with her. But the idea is, look, I've got nothing against her. She's one of the leads. And I think they did it dirty. I think John Hughes did it dirty, and I think that's the reason, possibly one of the main reasons why they don't work together anymore. It's very unusual to have a movie that is not written for a lead, and I don't think this movie was written. You're right; it reeks of studio meddling. There's proof that the ending that we got is not the original ending. It just didn't work with test audiences. People wanted but teenage girls want the good-looking guy to end up with
bad teeth.
Did you hear what she said about? If they cast Robert Downey Jr. as Ducky, she would have been happy with the original ending.
Yes.
It's just, and apparently, dude, nobody liked John Cryer on set. Yeah, and I think I know why. He had a very kind of if you see him like even in interviews, he's very ADD, like he's very ADHD. He's got a lot of energy, and I think this was way before they were actually like a diagnosis for people that may have had that. So if he was that high energy all the time, that would have been fucking exhausting.
Can I just talk about Ducky for a second?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Since we're already talking about it.
And his shoes, his pinkle-wickers.
His shoes.
Yeah.
If you looked at his character...
Winkle-pickers. Not pickle-winkers.
Pinkwicker?
What the fuck?
Winkle-pickers. But they're not quite winkle-pickers, are they?
What are they called? Wait a second, because I have to watch. Look at Steve. He's doing his research. He's not looking at us. He's looking at a screen.
I'm doing this. I'm behind the mic.
Wow,
you're behind the mic. Yeah.
I love that. It's like you want eye contact from Steve. It's
no,
as
I don't,
if he's
actually.
doing some sort of operation on you, and it's like you give me that eye contact. God
no. Hide behind it. Super creepy, mate. What are they called? The shoes?
So they're not winkle pickers, are they? Because winkle pickers are the atypical goth boots. These are
no,
more...
but the shape, it's between a creeper and a...
they're more like a creeper, but they are pointed like a winkle picker.
Okay, by now, you could have just asked Google, really.
Yeah, I'm not going to ask
looking at a
Google.
screen. I can see you looking at a screen.
I'm looking at this screen.
Okay, well, yeah, there's a second screen to the side. I know what that... I know where you are. I know who you are and where you are.
Here.
Ricky, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
So,
sorry.
Looking at the character of Ducky through, again, modern eyes and stuff, why does he think he is entitled to Andy?
See.
Well, you mean James Spader's character? Spader's character.
No. We're talking about Ducky here. We're talking about John Cryer. So, like, we all understand now that to be somebody's friend and to be somebody's long-standing friend and only friend because Andy has no other friends in the world.
He's not entitled to her. He's in love with her. What the fuck are you talking about? Are you trying to frame him under some kind of incel lighting? I don't think that's what...
I am, basically.
No, you shouldn't.
No, I am. I am because there are so many moments during the film, and especially like that club
he acts
scene.
like a dickhead. Yes. Yeah, he does.
He's
but he
not
does
at
it
all.
because he doesn't know how to handle... Of course, there's a level of possessiveness. These people are young, dude. They don't have any fucking clue of what's right and wrong. Every single one of them.
This film is really interesting in the way that it kind of just puts shit upon shit on Andy from the get-go, from the moment James Spader goes, hey Andy, how are you? Why won't you touch me? And all of this stuff.
That guy's a douchebag, though.
To the next one, which is like, like the girls in the bit. Who made your clothes? We'd rather do the chapter, please.
Stop right there, by the way, because you're talking about Kate, the blonde one that goes out with Steph later. That actress was doing my head in while watching this movie. First of all, if I did watch this in its entirety when it came out, I would have been completely enamored with her. She was hot as hell. But her name is Emily Longstreth, I think. Well, you see, the fact that you don't remember, and I don't remember, and Steve didn't remember, means that what the fuck? I remember either it was a type, because I remember looking at her.
It's a type.
It's a type, right? But what was the name of, is it Kate Capshaw? She reminded me of a very young Kate Capshaw at one point. And I was like, maybe that's what it was. Maybe. Because I don't remember her name.
But I remember,
was it Kate Vernon?
Because I got put. I did Battlestar Galactica. Like I did the whole series in a very short space of time.
Did you watch that episode of Portlandia?
No.
When they do okay, I'll send you a sketch later.
Oh, great!
It's about the two of them watching Battlestar Galactica in its entirety, and gradually you can see that the phone's ringing. They begin to lose their job because they don't go in. Then they start cutting down the gas, the electricity, because they can't stop watching it.
Battlestar.
Dude, it's a phenomenal. Yeah. Anyway, go on.
But that's where I knew her from. But anyway, my point is that
Kate Vernon. That's her name. Sorry, Kate Vernon. And she was in Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah,
is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
that's what I was saying.
This is what I said.
Anyway,
holy shit. What the fuck?
Welcome to the Umba TV show, where Umba realizes that even though he talks to other people, he is still just listening to himself. So
wouldn't know any other way.
Yeah.
Okay.
With Andy's character, she's been
Gina Gershon was in this as well.
Yes,
by the way.
she was.
Yeah.
She was like one of the friends in the.
And I cannot look at her anymore after that movie with her and Matthew McConaughey with the fucking chicken leg.
Yeah.
What was the name of that fucking movie, dude?
Oh, Matthew
Oh
McConaughey.
my god.
Oh my god.
You'll never look. In fact, now when I eat chicken, I don't eat chicken legs anymore.
Oh my god! I know exactly the film.
Thighs.
Joe. Oh, something Joe.
Oh, this is okay. Well, you know, Steve is already on IMDb for sure.
Yeah, everyone's
Steve,
now
can you do a quick search
shouting
for the
at us
name?
like, "How do you not remember that film?"
That means I have to...
Exactly. If there's anybody listening, it's like, who the fuck are these guys? What are they talking about
All
movies?
six.
It's a name of a state or a in the title.
Some Eskimo Joe. No.
Eskimo. No, what the hell are you talking about?
Eskimo Joe's
Turn
an
up.
Australian band.
Turn up, the stereo. You know, I met them. I've got a photo with the singer.
I wouldn't be surprised because they don't get out of Australia and they meet all of
but
their
they're
fans
great.
after.
I actually really like them, and they're great live as well. So
I know.
What I'm
I saw
looking
them.
for?
Yeah.
Anyway, something Joe, Killer Joe. God, that's what it
Killer
was called.
Joe. There was a name. Okay, it's not the name of the state or whatever. But in the poster, I think there was a. I don't know if it's Texas. I don't know. I can't remember.
No,
but anyway,
it's like the most obvious one, Killer Joe.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that Gina Gershon. Fucking hell,
Gina
that
Gershon.
sequence.
And the funny thing is, I look at her and I think Face Off, or I think Bound.
2011.
Yeah, I know, but that's the last fucking thing I saw her in. That was so.
Yeah, it's got a chicken. Looks like it's in the form of Texas or something.
Yeah, that's the poster.
Definitely Texas. Have you seen the movie, Steve?
No, I have not seen this movie. That's why I'm
Matthew
stuck.
McConaughey plays against type in this one, and he's
I
unbelievable.
haven't seen that film since when I first watched it.
Yeah.
Sally walked out during that scene.
Yeah, it's
She
full on.
couldn't handle that scene.
It's full on. You know what? We'll watch it at some point.
Yeah, sure. We'll add it to the list.
Absolutely.
So,
hey, it's an hour and 30 minutes, so you better get to where you're going, Mr. Ricky.
I've been trying, but you know what? Your
fuck off.
ADHD
Just get there.
laddled mind.
Yeah.
You keep segueing.
Give me some meds.
I'm
Please give me some meds.
I'm trying my hardest with you, man. I need to caress your face
Just
or
fucking
something
get to
and
the
just be like,
point.
listen to me.
Go.
Okay, so she gets shit upon from a great height throughout the whole of this film. And Ducky, for some reason, just because he is her only friend or she is his only friend, decides that he has complete ownership of her throughout the whole film.
Okay.
I think he's got a crush on her.
He does.
He's a teenager.
Yeah, I agree with Steve.
And he's not being
He's
able
not of sound mind, mate. He
Of
is
course
just
not.
of sound mind.
He's
He's
not
a
able
brilliant
to
character, but he is not
talk
of
He's a
sound
fucking
mind.
teenager, dude.
Yeah.
If these were adults, they would be psychopaths, all of them.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, they would.
It's insane. Or
James
if you
Spader would be
fucking
going
pull-
around axe murdering people,
Yeah.
wearing his yuppie food.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He'd be doing his best Christian Bale impression up and
Yeah,
down.
exactly. That's why I was just like, full on.
Oh,
Back
we have a
in
dead hooker in the
time.
trunk, Andy. Fuck you. Would you want to end up like her? That's
Where's
that
Jared
would be-
Leto? Where's Jared Leto?
that would be, yeah, that's American Psycho in pink. That's what you basically. But they're teenagers, so you know.
All right, okay. Let's talk about our general feelings, our scores, all of that stuff. I've got a feeling
Steve.
you want to shoot straight to me, or do you want to shoot straight to
No,
Steve?
Steve. I think Steve should go first.
Oh,
I don't want to hear your
Right.
voice anymore, Ricky. Go.
On hindsight, I mean, on a second watch, or second full watch, I'm not a big fan of this movie. I like the actors, especially the supporting cast. I still have a crush on Annie Potts in this movie. Who doesn't? Oh, there's one little bit of trivia on Annie Potts as well.
Yeah.
When she says, when she answers the phone at Trax, It's exactly the way that she answers it for Ghostbusters.
No.
Yes.
No, Janine.
100%. She did.
We got one.
But yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, like,
wait a second. Don't continue with your final statement. We would be remiss. I need you to hold it right there. But we missed out something key here, man. All of us.
Okay.
Otis Redding, John Cryer, dancing scene. What the fuck? How did we skip over that, man?
So I was going to bring this up as part of
and the music, Steve. You should talk about that as well.
Yeah. So I've been trying to talk about the other character in this film, which is the music.
Yeah.
Which is freaking amazing. It's an amazing soundtrack. I still remember it very well and kind of fondly because it's it's got Smiths, not Morrissey, which is a great kind of thing. I've got the soundtrack right here in front of me, and it's got OMD, it's got NXS, it's got the Smiths, it's got the Psychedelic Furs, which this entire film is based on.
True, absolutely.
I mean, Echo and the Bunnymen, New Order. It's who's who of the 80s.
There's a few tracks by New Order in it, actually, more than one. Can you do me a favor? What's the name of the track by? What's the name of the track by OMD?
If You Leave, and it was made directly for this movie.
True,
it was
Howard Hughes contacted them directly. That's what you know the trivia about this, right?
Yeah, they had another song ready to go, and they made this song in 24 hours
because they were meant to tour. Yeah, but I guess when John, did I say Howard Hughes? I mean John
Hughes contacts you and says,
Howard Hughes was going nowhere. He was calling nobody.
We want a song by you
with fingernails as long as this. But
and it went to become a hit for them. So
it did.
That's really good.
It did. That's true. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. I guess if John Hughes calls you, you say yes. Yeah,
especially at that time. Yeah. I mean, like, fantastic.
The Otis Redding sequence, dude.
Okay, so the Otis Redding sequence, it was supposed to be in another track.
True. Are you telling me the one that you know about?
Okay, so I know that it was supposed to be in a Mick Jagger and Michael Jackson track.
Yeah. Correct, and it's the first time I realized that both of them have the same initials.
Yeah.
I never thought about it.
MJ.
Yeah.
So, but they couldn't get the rights to the song. That's it. So, yeah.
Okay, so that's the one you know about, right?
Yeah.
Was it State of Shock?
State of Shock.
Okay, the second one that was meant to go on, they couldn't get the rights for. And it was a Rolling Stones track called Start Me Up.
Start Me Up.
They couldn't get the rights.
Yeah,
I knew about Start Me Up for sure.
There you go. Yeah. So in the end, they went for someone else. Okay. That entire sequence, man, I don't really normally look at choreographers, but I had to look the guy up.
Okay.
His name was Robert Paulson. What movie am I actually quoting now?
Okay.
Bob. His name
Robert Paulson went on to direct.
No, dude, what the fuck?
I'm sure of it.
No, Robert Paulson. I'm quoting Fight Club.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
His name was Robert Paulson.
Yeah.
His name was Robert Paulson.
It's not the name of the choreographer. The name of the choreographer.
Okay, sorry. No. The guy who did the choreography for this.
Yes, and his name, it's not that. His name is... Anyone help me here? Come on, it's in my notes and account. Oh, Kenny Ortega.
No.
Kenny Ortega.
Yes.
As in High School Musical.
Yes.
No way.
You know that. Who are you? What? Why would you know that?
Mate,
I actually didn't put it on my notes because I didn't want you guys to fucking laugh at me.
Okay.
Oh my God, what the fuck are you, man?
Weirdly enough, I did a short film, music for a short film, a few years ago. Yeah. And after that short film aired at the Prince Charles Cinema, they sat us down and watched High School Musical 3.
Oh my God, 3.
Not even 2,
I was just
man.
like,
not even 2.
But I was just like, oh my God, we're going to watch another movie. Oh God. Great.
Anyway, that was one of the movies that I found the 2 credits for. And
I think you keep forgetting, as much as I am a film buff, I also am a primary school teacher. So I have to sit through a lot of these films. You're putting
your hands forward now. Stop. Let's just move forward. Okay, you said what you said. We heard you. Everybody heard you.
Hey, I can start going down.
Are we supposed to be wrapping this up?
Maybe.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe.
Right. So we got Otis Redding, and we got Tak Fujimoto capturing John Cryer doing one of the most memorable dances that I think that's why I said this is the originator of fucking TikTok. He's mouthing the entire thing. He's dancing to it for the camera, and it's great. I loved it. I was smiling all the way through that sequence, man. I really, really liked it.
It was a fun sequence.
Yeah. Did you know there's those shoes? There are 2 pairs of those shoes, and they were like a size too small.
Ouch.
There's interviews out there with John Cryer saying that basically they were tearing his feet, and every time they had to keep repairing them because they got them secondhand. They found them second. They found 2 pairs, and they were a size too small.
Yeah, by the end of the film, his feet just went straight through the soul.
Of the viewer, or okay.
Funny.
Nice.
All right, let's go.
Steve.
So I'm hesitant to say. I mean, the supporting cast for this movie is fantastic. I'm not a big fan of Maury Ringwald in this movie, as we've kind of said in other parts. It's a 2 for me. I mean, like 2.5 at max.
Out of what? Out of 5 or out of 10?
Oh, okay. All right. I almost collapsed
and
there.
it's we're gonna have to find.
Okay, we're gonna have to come up with what. We're going to start doing.
No.
Okay.
2 out of 5. You can say 2 out of 5. That's fine. And what are they? 2 to what? What
so
are you giving?
It's a 5 technically out of 10.
So would you say
10,
that?
But what are you using? It's not 5 stars. What is it for you? It's 5 what?
It's 5 pairs of pixie boots.
Pixie boots.
Yeah, whatever.
Now, can I just ask, with that 5 out of 10, was it still? Did you find the film still watchable?
I found it watchable, but it didn't do anything for me extra. It didn't pull me. It made me realize some of the cast were still amazing actors. Some of the cast members. The story is a competent story, but I think it's badly
handled,
done.
Yeah. It goes nowhere. It's like a. That's what Mari said, by the way. Yeah, she's right.
And she is right. Yeah, but it just feels like over time. And that time has passed, sadly. There you go. I mean, like it's made well. The supporting characters are good, but it doesn't do anything for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ricky.
Sorry, guys.
No, sorry, what?
No, you don't need to be sorry, because there's actually quite a lot of what you've just said that I was going to echo. However, I'm going to give this one probably closer to a 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. You're a bitch. That
7 out of 10. You're a bitch.
You're a bitch.
That's great. Just for James Spaders.
But the reason why I'm giving it a 7 out of 10 is because would I watch this again? The answer is yes. Would I, when my kids grow up, would I put them through it? The answer is yes. Now, I also see that it's not a great plot line. I also see that it is very derivative. But in terms of the Romeo and Juliet Cinderella storyline, I think it was a very fresh take on that. And it was actually quite a cozy take on that. But
it was an 80s take on it.
It was a very 80s take on that.
Yeah.
But with that slight edge of like, oh my goodness, did they just drop the R word? There was a point where I thought Harry Dean Staunton dropped the N word, but then I looked it up and it was imbecile. He said the word imbecile, but in this Harry Dean Stanton way where it's like, imbecile. And I thought, whoa, did he just say? No, he didn't. He didn't say
but there were different times, you see.
There was a different time. But there was, and I think going into this film, I thought at the end of it, I was like, oh, what are we going to talk about? And then slowly, the more and more I thought about it, the more and more I talked to Sally about it, there were so many things to talk about. There's so many like little strands and little things. And just like, you know, we could have spent this whole podcast talking about James Spader. We could have spent this whole podcast talking about just John Hughes and his path to this movie. There's so much going on in this film that I would be more than happy to sit people down and be like, shall we watch a bit of a crappy film but have a lot of fun doing it, that sort of thing. So I would personally...
Did you have fun doing it?
I had fun in the way that I kind of kept like character studying. Like each character came up, I'd be like, why would they do that? Or what's going, like, why is James Spader like witnessing all these conversations? Like, why is he just hanging around in the hall and stuff? Even we didn't talk about the John Cryer James Spader fate, but that was such a realistic kid like fight. But anyway, so personally, I would give it close. And if you think about it, out of 5, it's only 3.5 out of 5. But yeah, I'd give it like a low 7 out of 10.
Okay. That's not
10
bad.
what?
I said 10. You're a bitch.
Yeah. I was gonna rate mine Spader cigarette butts, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna go for pink dresses. So yeah. So as much as it sounds like a very, very dangerous and like there's a threat tone to it, I'm gonna go for pink dresses. I was going to give this a 7. Your dispassionate and ridiculous defense of Molly Ringwald has pushed this down to a 6, Ricky. You originally, I was like, oh no, you subjected me to this. I asked you to pick a movie and you picked this piece of shit. I fucking hate you. But I still hate you a little bit, but not for this. Not for this movie. It was enjoyable for me to watch. The movie feels like, again, I don't want to use this term loosely, but it feels like a time capsule for me. And it's a bit weird. It's the most, out of the bunch, this is the most, even more than Breakfast Club, man. This movie is very 80s. It's got a strong 80s presence in it. Like it's got the bad guy, and it's got the, you know what I mean? It's got all the tropes in it. And for a teenage drama, normally you wouldn't have this guy, because you would be tempted to call Spader's character, to call Steph a villain.
He is.
And
he
you
is
don't
a villain
get,
of his piece.
In this type of movie like this is like it's a rom-com. You don't get a villain, you get a bad guy. But he's villainous in this. And there's no threat to his villainy, because he's a douche. So it falls on him. There's an ensemble of things.
He's a yuppie douche.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also don't recall being so repulsed by 2 leads at the same time. Every time Andy appeared on screen, I just kept thinking, how the fuck did you get this role? Like, he just is not a good looking dude.
Well, yeah,
and I don't think
we don't ask that question, because we probably know the answer.
That's the way I felt. I felt repulsed by both of the leads. You know, like, if anything, I was attracted by the performances here and the charismatic kind of presence and aura on screen from Erin Stanton's character, from James Spader's character, and John Cryer knocks it out of the park. Really, he may be playing someone who does detestable things later on in the movie, obviously, but it's a spectrum. That's what I'm saying. Like, I wouldn't cast him completely under this or shine a very dark light on him. I just think he's a teenager, doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. His response to being rejected it's demented, but it's also hurtful, and he tries to make up for it later. But these are things that you do as a teen. The youth is stupid. What are you going to do? We all did stupid things at some point. Again, if you throw these character traits at adults, you made a fucking American Psycho. You did. But the teens, the stakes are very low. Let's just put it that way. And if one thing that we get out of the ending, which is, okay, the underdog doesn't get the girl, fine. But it also goes to show that that this relationship is going nowhere. It's just okay, they'll kiss afterwards, after the prom, and whatever the fuck. It's just the fleetingness of youth, and I think the movie remarks that. So, what am I giving this movie? I said it's pushed down to a 6, but that's not a bad thing, because a 6 out of 10 is not terrible.
It's still better than Sharknado 3.
Yeah.
I rated it a 5 because it's a 5. It's a solid movie. It's just, it doesn't do anything for me.
It doesn't
anymore.
Stick with you.
No.
I think it's a 5 is a little harsh, but Steve,
that's
your 5.
But it's my 5.
It's interesting because I watched the Siskel and Ebert review that they did at the time.
They tear through it.
And Ebert was like 3.5. I loved it. It was quaint. Gene Siskel was like 1.5. What is this? It's so derivative. And they're like really at each other. And to a point where Roger goes, yeah, so you just kind of proved that you don't know cinema again, Gene. Anyway.
So,
I mean, there are highlights to it. That's it.
Yeah.
It's just that I don't really gel with the main cast directly. But
the leads, you mean?
the leads.
Yeah. Nobody did that. Besides Ricky, who was secretly in love with Molly Ringwald, we discovered. I hope Sally listens to this episode.
As I said, like I've put out my reasons.
It's not a bad movie.
I would have kept it as a secret kink of yours. But now everybody knows.
I've got so many more secret kinks to come up in future episodes. Don't you wait. Just wait.
Just wait. How about some body horror?
Oh, yes. Oh, my God, yes. Yes, please. Yes. I need some Cronenberg in my life, please.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. And on that note, thank you for listening, people. Thank you for spending time with us. You know that if you enjoyed the show for whatever sick reason, please recommend it to your friends, to your family, to your co-workers. Just push it on to people. Put it on social media. Click that bell. Smash the bell. Subscribe. Do whatever. But follow us because you know what we're doing next week? And we're not telling you. Until then.
But we're going to discuss this after this call.
Yeah, right
now. Yeah. Until now, we didn't really reveal it. We're not going to reveal the schedule, I think. But we got something good coming next week. I'm pretty sure.
Sure we do.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure we do.
Not necessarily a good movie.
We do. We definitely do.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Might be a 2 out of 10 after your guys' reactions to my film. But yeah, fine.
Okay. Well, see you later, guys. Until next week.